Welcome back to the podcast. This is Layla Rose, and today we are discussing high standards and the kingship initiation. So, a lot of times I see people, questioning what is a kingship initiation, or what about the Heroes Gamos ritual, the ritual that kings used to do. So a lot of times people expect this answer of like, well, this like magical ritual that, someone's going to do. Actually, for a man to step into his king energy, which is the divine masculine, he has to become a protector and a provider. All right. So the way he can do that is by dealing with a woman with high standards, because she's going to challenge him, not in a nagging, controlling way. She's just going to have these really high standards. And if he's really interested into her, he's going to have no choice but to rise and to elevate himself and to rise into the king that he was born to be. That's what it is. So the Heroes Gamos ritual is the marriage between the masculine and the feminine within that needs to happen within the divine feminine, because the man now is going to be reflecting that back to her, but she is the spiritual leader. So she doesn't have to talk about this, by the way. It's something that happens on the subconscious level most of the times. But the woman is gonna be rising her own, energy, doing the Heroes Gamos ritual within herself. And then she's going to have these really high standards. And the men that are going to be able to access her energy are the men that have been through this kingship initiation, which most of the time are CEOs, business owners, men that are established. So what about the high standards for the divine feminine? These are just some common sense, basic high standards for women that are essential, especially if she wants to elevate her life, her lifestyle, to reduce stress, and to be able to really step into the highest version of herself. So when it comes to dating, whether it's for, a potential husband, sugar daddy, provider, however, because we never know, right? Like when you meet a man, like you can't put him into a category because he hasn't proven anything. He hasn't earned anything. So the first high standards that a divine feminine needs to have is to make sure that this man has money to spend. And those can be easily, be shown because he's going to offer her things. And once again, by the way, this is something that little boys do, like very naturally, but unfortunately the mothers sometimes break that, character out of men, which make them stay like little boys the whole life subconsciously. But if a mother doesn't do that, so the little boys, actually, when you observe how they act, they are naturally very masculine, and they love to serve and provide and protect. It's just something that they naturally do, even as young as toddlers. That's how they're going to be. They're going to act like that with their mother and their sister if they have one. So protecting and providing is a natural instinct for the masculine, but obviously society doesn't encourage that, because you cannot manipulate a man who is, financially free, right? Another high standard that women need to have, especially when it comes to, attracting providers, is to make sure that the guy is there to impress you. So whenever I hear women, initiating contact or messaging, or, if you're sitting at a bar and you go talk to the man, you are in your masculine energy, because you are now the initiator, the chaser, which again has nothing to do with what you look like. You can look like a little Barbie, but if you act like a man, it's an energetic, dance. So the man is going to feel emasculated most of the time. So even if, women are like, let me go to your place and, do this to you, blah, blah, blah. And, a lot of men are going to say no because it's repelling, for a masculine man to have a woman throwing themselves at them. So a woman needs to stay in her feminine energy by waiting. Let's say you're at a bar, obviously by being radiant and smiling, it's going to be more inviting. Especially if she's wearing clothes that are pink, it's a very soft color that is very inviting compared to like being dressed in black, which is more like a color associated with power. Again, it really depends on the energetic behind it, obviously, because you can be dressed in black and be very super feminine and bubbly and radiant. And you can obviously, if you like, the dark feminine vibes, you can put some, little pearls and jewels and like a red lipstick to make it more soft or more, more feminine, basically, instead of just harsh. Like the dominatrix vibe is sometimes a bit repelling for masculine men. But once again, the energetic is the main key here. But for her to remain still and to wait until the guy initiates or send her a drink or comes up to her and be like, hey, and obviously when she greets him with a smile, it's going to give him the approval that, hey, you can still continue, talking to me. Another thing as well is if she's going on a date, to make sure that he's taking care of the transportation. I don't recommend going into a stranger's car, and if the guy is insistent about you going into his car, obviously it's a huge red flag. I know a lot of men sometimes just forget what life is for women. Like, we always have to think about those things. They don't have to. But the thing is, it's just, you can just set the high standard. Like, just assume that he's going to send you an Uber, or just assume that I don't know, like, for example, like, by assuming he's going to send you a Uber driver, obviously you don't want to give him your address, but you can give an address that's like, like a block away, so you don't have to walk like too much, but at least he doesn't have like your specific address and apartment and everything. So you just send him the address where you want the Uber to be sent to, and be like, oh my God, thank you so much for sending an Uber. And this is my address, or just like, here's my address for the Uber. Like, just assume that he's going to do it, right? And if a man is not in this type of energy to like impress you or to spend money into you like right away, like, he's not seeing you as an investment, he's not seeing you as a potential partner, and he just wants to have, SCX with you, and that's it, in and out. He's not looking for long term. He's not a gentleman as well, because obviously, like, men that don't understand that women live in fear most of the time, fear for their life, fear of being RAPE. Men who are not sensitive to these types of things, first of all, should not reproduce, should not have daughters. Like, can you imagine? Because they don't understand the concept. And obviously you shouldn't go on a date with a guy like that. So that's just how you can weed out men like so easily with high standards. The other thing, obviously, that's a non-negotiable. The man needs to have a career and multiple streams of income. And there are ways to ask it in a very cute way, like, because you don't want to like do an interview. But what you can do, instead of being like, what's your career? What do you do for work? How do you make money? Do you have multiple streams of income? Like, that's very masculine to do it like that. But what you can do is be like, oh my God, what did you do today? Oh, especially if it's like a Monday, right? Oh, what did you do today? And then they're going to like simply explain what they do for work. And, oh, what does a regular day looks for you? These are just like sweet open questions like that doesn't feel like a corporate interview, but at least it's going to give you an idea of like how much money they're earning. The other thing as well is and that's the masculine mission, is to not only have an established career, multiple streams of income, but they also need steadily income increase that he loves to share with you. If a man doesn't have this type of behavior with you, or just in general, like he doesn't care about increasing his income and he doesn't share his money with you, don't give him your energy. Don't entertain men like that. They do not care about you, and it's just the tough love, like the plain truth. But that's like the negative aspect of it. But the positive aspect of it is that there are multiple men, not just one, okay? Multiple, who are the opposite. Like, they are praying for a woman like you. They are craving your energy. They're craving your divine feminine energy on a daily basis. They don't even know what divine feminine energy means, but they crave it. They need it. That's what the masculine needs. He needs to be plugged into the divine feminine. Obviously, most men are like super unconscious about like what's happening energetically, and please don't take your time to explain that to them, because they're not going to understand, and they might assume that you're very manipulative, or they might just be confused. So just don't talk about it. But I'm just explaining it for women. You want to be with a man who's very generous. If he stops being generous, or he's like less generous, what you can say to him is that, oh my God, I didn't want to ask and be rude, but I noticed that you've been sending like less money, or you've been buying me like less gifts. Like, are you like in a tough financial situation? And basically you're doing reverse psychology on him, because he's gonna try again to prove to you that he's like established and financially, stable. And obviously if he doesn't do it, it's fine, because you are doing rotational dating. So you're not being intimate with like 5 guys or 6 guys, but you are actively dating 5 to 6 guys. And therefore you're giving the most attention to the man who is, pursuing you the most. Basically, that's what it is. And again, if a man wants to be exclusive, that's like the bare minimum, but like the bare minimum standard for someone to be exclusive to you is to pay all your bills, all of them. And a lot of times, I talk about money and people think, oh, it's just for like luxury designer stuff. And that's not what it is. When I talk about money, I talk about, having the ability to buy freedom, peace, time, memories, trips, comfort, the ability to do more and to remove all the financial stress or the daily stress of life, to make your life easier, being able to start your business, have a legacy. A lot of women don't talk about this that much, but most women, by the way, since we started working in our teenage years, we've been sexually harassed by our managers, our bosses. So when a man steps into his king energy, divine masculine, and he provides fully for his wife, he's giving her the this ability to like not have to deal with all this crap. It really takes a toll on your mental health to be sexually harassed your entire career. And that's something that men, most of them, because obviously sexual harassment goes both ways, but that's something just with the statistics we can see that it is mostly women. Men will never understand that. They will never understand. That's why if you have to like explain that to a man like multiple times, just don't even bother. Like, if you make one statement and you're like, sexual harassment is something that, I've been dealing with since I'm a teenager, blah, blah, blah. And if he doesn't like have the instinct to protect you and be like, hey, you don't have to go to work if you don't want to, like, do whatever you want. Everything is provided for you. If he doesn't do that, he's not your man. He's not your husband. He's not your sugar daddy. He's not your provider. And he doesn't give a crap, which is like, we don't care if we're doing rotational dating, because we're not even focused on him. We're focused on ourselves and who's, achieving our high standards. That's what it is. And the cool thing about this whole concept is that once, if the relationship doesn't work, the woman doesn't leave the relationship with bad credit, living on the streets with her children, because that, unfortunately, that's what a lot of men do. They don't care about, they're not emotionally attached to their ex-wife and children. They're not. Not all men, but the majority of them. So women have to be wiser and understand, the mistakes of the wounded feminine and what she did, and learn from them and become better and level up. So at least, the women, if the relationship doesn't work, she can leave the relationship if she wants to, first of all, because she has money aside, and also she's also leaving with security for herself and her children. So that's it for today's episode about high standards and the kingship initiation and what it means. And, I went into a lot of details. But again, if you have any questions, let me know. And I'll see you tomorrow for our next episode. Bye.